Welcome back to Notre Dame Television. I'm Elena Morgan from our studio in the Duncan Student Center. Tuesday, September 10th was the first presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. Hosted by ABC, this debate was the first face-to-face meeting between the two candidates, when Americans were able to tune in and hear more from the nominees as they prepare for the election on November 5th. Let's briefly recap some of the key points from the night. First, the debate began with Harris coming over to greet Trump and give him a handshake. This is noteworthy because earlier this year, Joe Biden and Donald Trump had chosen not to shake each other's hands, even though it had been a tradition going back to 1976. Harris's decision brought us back to the norm for this debate. The debate itself was a little over 90 minutes. Each candidate was supposed to answer the questions with their mics muted when it wasn't their turn to speak. These rules were only loosely enforced, as there were several instances where the two candidates, but particularly Trump, were able to interject and continue responding when the moderators attempted to move to the next point. Unlike previous debates, the two moderators stepped in 4 times to fact-check some of Trump's comments, which has led to discussions about how an moderator in a debate. Throughout the night, candidates were asked about key topics to voters in this election: the economy and inflation, reproductive rights and abortion, immigration, January 6th, and foreign policy. Now, the big question everyone wants to know is who won this debate? To answer that, let's discuss what each candidate needed to do to win and how they measured up. First, with Vice President Kamala Harris. Harris really needed to antagonize Trump in the debate, showing off her skills as a prosecutor and pushing him to go off track. She also needed to solidify her campaign platform and her views to voters who are less familiar with where she stands. Ultimately, she had a strong ability to remain level-headed and to deliver lines of attack Trump on the defensive all night. She focused on trying to connect to voters with a better future, reiterating her statement that we are not going back.
So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page.
However, she dodged some of the tougher questions and avoided giving clear responses on the shift in support of some of her policies.
I know you say that your values have not changed, so then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made.
She also had less speaking time than Trump. Now, former President Trump, on the other hand, needed to focus on policies and avoid any personal attacks or insults, not letting any of Harris's comments get to him. He also needed to highlight and leverage the experience that comes with being a former president. On Tuesday night, Trump was successful at claiming more speaking time, making sure he got the last word and the chance to respond to almost all of Harris's statements.
They never took the tariff off because it was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on.
However, he did get defensive and remained angry for most of the debate, focusing on the past rather than on plans for the future. He directed many attacks towards President Biden and closed his performance by criticizing Harris rather than explaining what he would bring to the table.
The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
After a debate, sources will conduct quick polls called flash polls to get an idea of who won the debate. In a flash poll conducted by CNN, 63% of voters said that Harris outperformed Trump in this first debate. It will take a couple days before we see the actual impact that the debate will have on long-term polls. Immediately after the debate finished, Harris's team for a second debate, but President Trump expressed hesitation on the idea. If a second debate happens, you know you can check back here at Notre Dame Television to learn more about it and other major events in the 2024 election. Thank you for watching NDTV. I'm Elena Morgan, and we'll see you next time. Go Irish!